Let it hit you while you're working. This is the Lady Nora Madonna Show. I'm Lady Nora Madonna, and you're watching me right now, and it feels kind of weird to be watched, honestly. But that's the way life is. It's a big fear of mine. So, of course, I'm going to be on YouTube. Makes a lot of sense. Today we're talking about the full moon in Sagittarius. Oh, I'm going to put it right here. Full moon in Sagittarius. And, that's coming up on June 11th. We have a couple of days, 5 more days, 5 business days before the full moon. So get your orders in. Full moons are, of course, a time of release. Symbolically, when you think about it. The new moon is a time to be manifesting, to be thinking about our desires. Because there is no moon in the sky. There is no light in the sky but our own internally. We can cast light into the world and shape the realms before us in the ways that we want to see them. But a full moon is bright. It has the light of the sun shining on it from the opposite side of the sky. And the full moon is casting light upon the whole landscape. And now it is time for our inner moon, our inner heart, to radiate out and say, I speak this, I say this, I give this out to the world, I release. Full moons are releasing. So we are releasing this time in Sagittarius. The full moon is there. The sun is in Gemini on the opposite side. It is in the third decan of Sagittarius, 26 degrees. There is a lot going on in the chart and it's beautiful. And you'll see it later in the day. And then we're going to do some readings. We're going to do a reading for full moon in Sagittarius, and then if we have time, and it's my show, and so we can make time however much we want. We can have as much time as we want. So we're going to do cards for each of the signs and talk a little bit about what to expect in your sign, your rising sign, this full moon. And here she is, that big, beautiful chart for next full moon in Sagittarius. Here's your moon, and here's your Sagittarius happening right there. Sagittarius is, of course, the sign of higher learning, greater comprehension, our highest philosophical aims, our travels through the world, the things that expand our mind, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is all about that expansion. It's about expanding our passions and our highest of aspirations that we feel inside of ourselves. So here it is, this full moon, this release happening in Sagittarius, where we are taking these aspects of ourselves, the highest self, the highest being inside of ourselves that wishes to create and learn and see in order to feel the most free. Sagittarius understands the world in this way. In order to be the most free, it must have the greatest understanding of its circumstance and of this world. Because if you don't understand something, if you don't understand who you are, if you don't understand your place in the world, you cannot be free because you can't examine the self. You may have these motives, these unconscious desires that might be controlling your life without you knowing it. You may have circumstances in your life that have influence over you without you knowing it. As Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living, precisely because they don't know what they're living for. They don't know who they're living for. You can have all of these tethered, energetic aspects of the self connected to all these different things, and you would have no idea unless you studied the self and studied the things around you. You moved towards an attainment of higher education of the self and of the world. And that is Sagittarius's aim. And we've got the full moon there. So it's a big old release of that kind of feeling of how do I be free? What do I need to understand? What do I need to say and speak about my experience of the higher knowledge, of my higher self, of that greatest understanding. What do I need to release of that into the world? And this decan of Sagittarius is ruled by the 10 of Wands. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, of course, so that puts us in the back end of the Wands. So all these decans here. This is a decan. This is 1/3, 1/3, decan number 2, decan number 3. The last decan in Sagittarius is a culmination. It's the final decan of the fire cycle. So it is ruled by the 10 of Wands, which is the highest of the Wands. The 10 of Wands is about carrying that burden, carrying that weight. It's that song, it's the Beatles song, boy, you got to carry that weight. There are in our lives just ways that we must carry things. We must carry certain aspects of our reputation, certain aspects, burdensome concepts of who we are. Sometimes we challenge ourselves. Sometimes we must carry the burden of our children, keeping them alive and raising them until they're full adults. That's just an obligation that we are stuck with. If we are parents, we have burdens and debts to our society that we must behave in certain ways in order to be accepted, in order to be here. We have just a host of burdens that we must carry through this life, and Sagittarius is the one who bears this burden the most, an awareness of this burden, because here in the 3rd decan is ruled by the 10 of Wands. Wands are our passions, our insights into the world, the fire within, the fire that we breathe without, the fire of life that gives us our desire to live in certain ways, and we want to see certain things realized into the world. So these burdens may even be our manifestations, the things we're trying to realize, the things we're trying to create. We're doing this on purpose. We are carrying this burden. We could put this down, but we choose not to, out of some either obligation, but even obligation is a choice. We choose to honor the obligations that we are under. We choose to honor the burdens that we are under. So we are carrying this. And perhaps it is time in Sagittarius, with this full moon here, with this 10 of Wands energy, perhaps it is time for us to say that I choose this. I choose this path. I choose these burdens. I choose what I am carrying with me. I want to do this. And if you don't want to do this, examine that. Look at it and illuminate it with that full moon energy. Speak it out into the world and let it go. Let it go if you have to do that. On the opposite side, we have the sun doing its dandy little thing over here. Let's get it illuminated. There's the sun. It's at 21 degrees of Gemini. It's also in the final decan. It's in the final decan of Gemini. And boom, and there it is. The 10 of Swords. Ta-da. That's a brutal card. It's a brutal card. I call it the end of endings. It is when all of things have ended. It is the point between defeat, or the ending, and death. What happens between defeat and death? That is the realm of the 10 of Swords. Not always necessarily a dire card, so we want some things to end. We don't want everything to last forever. And once we have reached the 10 of Swords, we are beyond even the grief, the pain, the sorrow, the heartache of loss that we may have just experienced. We're already beyond that. We have walked into the beginning of new territory. Dawn begins in the 10 of Swords. You can see that yellow there. Beginning to cast over the landscape, come up over the defeated body who has been pierced by all these swords. So we are moving towards a new beginning here in that Gemini energy. And it's true, because look at, we got big bad Uranus coming up and about to enter the sign of Gemini, and about to make big alterations to the ways that we communicate with one another, to the relations that we have with one another. It's going to have massive impact on technology, telecommunications, even on commerce. There's big changes, big sudden changes coming, and Uranus does that. And Uranus likes to shake things up. It's a big shake-up energy. It's going to turn the box upside down and see what comes out. And that's entering into Gemini. So our Gemini lives are going to be turned up a little bit soon. And even as Sun enters into this 4th decan, and Jupiter is right now crossing that, will be crossing, it has already crossed by this point. By June 11th, of course, Jupiter will have entered Cancer. So we'll be entering into that Jupiter in Cancer space, where we are opening up aspects within us that feel that emotional depth, and we are opening up to new emotional experience, and we are moving past our comfort zone of that emotional space and opening up to new experiences in that world, and seeking new modes of security and safety for ourselves. A lot of shift in energy. And this full moon in Sagittarius is the moment where we can release all of the old burdens that we've been carrying and push them out into a brand new beginning. Say goodbye to them. Say adios. Say goodbye to the things that we have been holding on to. Perhaps the things that are energetically pulling at us as we are carrying the burdens that we want. We are releasing those things. We are releasing those energies. Another thing of great significance here on June 11th is that, take a look at this. That big, beautiful triangle happening right here. This is a grand trine happening between Mars in Leo and Chiron in Aries and the full moon in Sagittarius. That's all your fire energy. There's a great big trine of fire. Went down, down, down into that trine of fire. It's happening right here. Chiron was just activated, of course, in the past couple of days this last week by Venus in that conjunction with it there in Aries, activating that sense, those deep-seated wounds in our individuality, in ourselves and who we are. Feeling that wound that drives us into being, the central wound that is at the heart of every supervillain in the DC universe that makes them into the person that they are. The wounds that make us who we are. We were feeling that most resonant in our Chiron in Venus. And Venus has moved on now. It's in Taurus. Moving on to provide a little bit more safety and security for us. To give us the love and safety that we need as Jupiter enters into Cancer. But here is that old wound that spent time sitting with itself and examining itself in Chiron, in Aries, at that 26th degree, at 3rd decan of Aries. And it is finished resonating, and it is now sitting with the lessons of Venus and Chiron and trying to understand itself. And now it's in a trine. An exchange of energies that is almost a conjunction, might as well be a conjunction. That exchange of energies is moving through the cosmos between Mars and Leo, full moon in Sagittarius, and Chiron in Aries. And that Mars in Leo energy is giving us an impetus, a strong will to express what we have been feeling over these past few weeks. And that full moon is wanting us to release those things. We have these feelings, we have these deep-seated wounds that we've been experiencing. I had a dream about a wound. Literally, I had a wound in my side. I had this cut in my abdomen, and it was open, and it had this little crab, little crab parasite, energetic parasite living inside of me. And I had to pull it out. There was an actress. I was working on a film, and there was an actress, and she looked at me and said, you have to get that removed, right? And I looked down, and I realized there was this wound in me with this parasite energetically pulling on me, draining me. And I realized that I knew about this. I've known about this wound for I don't even know how long. I don't even know how long I knew about the wound, and I had been ignoring it. I had ignored it so much that I wasn't even thinking about it. And here I was in a cute cropped shirt, and this actress looked at me and said, you have to get that removed. And I went, oh shit, you're right, I do. What the fuck? And so I went about, in this dream, I went about removing the parasite and pulled it out of me. It felt very strange, I must say. Once I finally removed it and took it out, I felt an emptiness in my side. And when I woke up, I felt empty there. And I had to place my hand over it. I had to hold my hand there to soothe that space. This was I had this experience in a dream, and it was so profound and strong that it carried over into my waking life. I felt like I was missing something from my body. And sometimes these wounds, when we heal them, and we heal the energetic draw that they are pulling on our psyche, we can feel as though we are missing something. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we feel this desire sometimes to move back towards that space. But here is Mars in Leo, wanting us to give a voice and to put that pain on display and release it into the cosmos so that we can relieve these burdens and put an end to them. That's the chart. That's the astrology coming up on June 11th for the full moon in Sagittarius. And now we're going to do ourselves a little reading on the subject. Give me 3 cards to talk about it. 8 of Cups reversed. That's some energy that I've been seeing a lot lately. And the key number 8, Strength. And the 8 of Cups reversed. I've been seeing that energy coming up frequently. 2 8s. We got the King of Pentacles here in his reverse state. I have been seeing a lot of this masculine energy out in the world, having it out with itself. It's in this kind of state of agitation. It's had its ego inflamed, you might say. Strength has its association with Leo and the sun in Leo. That is very strong egoic energy. Sometimes we confuse the ego with our true inner strength, and we fight and battle, and we forget what things are really about. The King of Pentacles in his reversed position has forgotten his real purpose, which is to stay grounded and to work towards things in slow, steady manner for the benefit of all around him. He is the provider of his kingdom. He is the steward of the land. And he has forgotten because he has been so inflamed by his egoic senses. The 8 of Cups. This is about removing yourself from a situation that you no longer need to be a part of. You are now ready to move on to higher aspects. You are on the way up the mountain again. You are leaving behind on the coastline those empty cups that you no longer need or no longer fulfill you. You are moving away from things that simply no longer serve you. But here in the reverse state says that we are, of course, ignoring that impulse, and we are instead battling with those things. We are losing ourselves in this state. of remaining with the aspects of loss and pain and sorrow and grief, that we are not moving away from it towards the waxing moon, towards the full moon. We have to write these cards, we need to take evaluation of the ways in which we need to be moving on in our lives. Set aside the ego, because it is in a trap. The ego is necessary to have at times. Don't get me wrong. But very often the ego places itself in a trap of the self and cannot see beyond itself. It gets blinded to itself. The sun is burning too brightly for itself to see. So we get stuck in these aspects, these drives and desires, and the will to have our way a certain way, and not to simply move on from that energetic place of being stuck in that world. I don't know how much release energy you need to have. How much more release message do you need to have from this full moon in Sagittarius? It's like, let go, walk away, look at your burdens, examine all of this. This is the ending, let it all go. Give it up to the higher power, as we say from the game of life and how to play it. If you've ever read that book, talks very explicitly about when these burdens come to you, when you feel yourself overburdened, that you take these burdens and you give them to the higher power, whatever it is, the higher self, the super ego, the holy guardian angel. Give it to Jesus. Let Jesus take the wheel. Give it to God. Let the wheel of chance take its spin. Give it up to karma. Allow your unconscious mind to sort it out. All these things are sort of the same statement. In manifestation, we talk about letting go of the conscious awareness of these things, so that the things we're trying to manifest are no longer obsessively on our conscious mind and move down into the unconscious realm, where the unconscious can do the work and lay things out before us, because the unconscious is a much larger capacity of the mind. It's a much larger space. It has more computational power. So we are allowing our unconscious mind to do the work for us. Let go. We're letting go. We are letting go in our manifestations, in our burdens, in our fears, and all of that stuff. And we are letting it all go to the higher power. All right, and now we are doing little mini readings for each of the signs, starting with you, Aries. Aries, look out for a message of definitive ending. An ending is coming, and you will get some kind of communication about it. This full moon is happening in your 9th house. So some sort of communication about a way of thinking, a new way of thinking. Let's end a way of thinking that you've been holding on to. You are going through a lot, Aries, I must say. You've been through this Chiron in Venus ordeal, forefront and center. You've been at the war front of that feeling of all these wounds being activated inside of you. You are having the transit of Neptune and Saturn occurring right inside of you, right inside of your 1st house if you're Aries rising. So you are undergoing a lot of challenges, and there's a message coming to you about releasing the old ways of thought that you've been holding on to, because now it's time to manifest those higher ideals. But first, we must illuminate them in yourself. What is it that you wish to see truly in this world? What represents your highest desire? Taurus risings, you're getting the Page of Cups. That's positive news, probably about relationships, probably a new love coming your way, or a message from someone, maybe a new sexual relationship, some way in which you are about to begin merging yourself with another person. You may be feeling the will to merge yourself. You are an 8th house sort of person, Taurus, so experience. You're going to be perhaps experiencing a bit of a transformation of the self and a merger of yourself into someone else, someone new who comes along and is willing to bear your heart for you. Gemini risings, this is happening, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships, and perhaps this one is something to look out for. You're looking for the big prize, but there are still some hardships that you have to go through before you can get to that space. There are still challenges in your relationship space. You haven't fully thought out what it means exactly to be in a relationship with someone else, and you still need to do some self-examination. Look at what you need to release during this full moon in order to get yourself more purified, to have that relationship enter into your life. How do you need to give it your attention? You're going to need to give relationships your attention. Or if this 7th house energy is enemies, you're going to need to give your rivals equal attention in order to get to this new space. Cancer risings, this is now happening in your 6th house of work. And see, I told you, this energy keeps coming up. Here it is. Here it is again. There's something that you are just not letting go of. When it comes to your routine, your habits, the work that you're doing, and you need to move on from it. It's just not serving you anymore. You're getting very little out of it anymore. At one point you probably were. It was working out for you, but it is not. It's not happening anymore. The energy that you're putting in is not equal to the energy that you're getting out. So step away from whatever that is. Leo rising, Sagittarius is in your 5th house of creativity, and this is a great moment for you to express something with intention of clarifying the authenticity of yourself. Speak authentically. Speak from the heart. If you are having this creative impulse, allow it to come forward to express the emotion that you've been feeling over these past couple of weeks. Allow it to express those wounds that you have been feeling. It's not the time to be manifesting and fully in the magician energy. Here the magician is speaking towards being the full and authentic self, so that we can purify the path and the energies of the mind, so that when it does come time again to begin our manifestation work, drawing down energy from spirit into the material world, that we are prepared to do that. Virgo risings, you know you're near and dear to my heart, and your full moon is happening in your 4th house. So there is something about the place of stability, home, and perhaps family, the place where you feel most rooted and at home. That is where you're needing to express and release and let go of something that you have been carrying. This is the ending of something in that space, and to let go of whatever that is. Here's the Queen of Wands. She is a passionate woman. She has so many aspirations and desires, but it is triggering her into her negative aspect, and she is becoming neurotic about her passions and what she wants to see. She is holding on to them a little too much, and not activating the receptive feminine aspect that allows those manifestations to come. She puts what she desires, and then she quiets herself and allows it to come to her. She creates from a space of quiet. So we must quiet the mind by releasing these full moon energies. Libra rising, that's me. It's happening in the 3rd house. Sagittarius sitting there with the full moon in our 3rd house of the ways in which we do our thinking, our reactivity to the world, our immediate surroundings, our neighbors, our siblings, that sort of thing. And we've got the full moon. We've got the moon in its reverse aspect. So we have some shadow work to be done here. We need to be looking deep inside of the ways in which we are thinking about the world and the way we're approaching our lives. And we need to be examining the shadow aspects there and making changes. Thinking about the ways in which we can change those shadow selves, because they are having a negative influence upon us. So let's root those out. Let's speak them into being and allow them to dissipate into this full moon energy. Scorpio risings, this full moon is happening in your second house of money and possessions and things that you want to hold on to and have in your life, and it's your wealth and your own sense of value that you have in your life. It's happening in your second life. Your full moon is wanting to release something. This Ace of Swords is telling you that perhaps you have suffered some cuts and wounds in the things that you've been trying to bring forth into this world. You've been having some difficulty about the things that you want to possess, and sometimes the things that we possess can wound ourselves. You know, as Tyler Durden said, the things we own end up owning us. So, perhaps there is something that we need to release in our possession that is weighing us down. Are we holding on to the things that hold us down? That's the question for you. Scorpio risings. Sagittarius rising, this is all happening in your first house, the full moon, and it's a little bit overwhelming. Hey, maybe take a break. Rest. You're already doing all this work. You're constantly thinking about those higher ideals, your philosophies, evaluating yourself, trying to figure out what's best for you and how to most be free. And you've been working through all this. And stop. You have the information. You have enough information. That's enough. Chill for a minute and sit with yourself. It's time to sit with yourself in a quiet space and quietude and enjoy the full moon and let the unconscious do the work now. The unconscious is going to do the work as you release all this cognition, running around like a crazy person, thinking about all these things. Let it go for a minute and release. Capricorn risings, this full moon is happening in your 12th house, the space of secrets, of hidden knowledge, of the unconscious, of service to others, and it is saying that perhaps this Two of Cups is saying to take a look at your relationships and ask the question here in the 12th house, what are the ways that you have been serving others that have not been met in kind, reciprocated? Your desire to establish and create these lasting structures in your life. You perhaps have been doing that with someone, and perhaps it has not been met, and this concept has been in the back of your mind for a while, and you haven't really sat down and really thought about it. So it's time to do that. It's time to do that examination, and take a moment and sit with the spirit of the self, the higher spirit, and examine. Take a look away from the material world, Capricorn, and look towards the spirit world of those desires and emotions of the heart, the higher aspirations, and ask yourself, in what ways is my relationship to others perhaps a little bit not reciprocating in the way that it ought to be. Aquarius risings, this is all happening in your 11th house, or 11th house of people, society. It's the thing that you kind of struggle with the most. You have to remain away from it as part of your mode of being, of remaining free. I know that. I know it. That's where my moon is. I know all about staying away from that social order in order for us to be free. But you've been carrying something about this self-ostracization that you put yourself through. And it is time, perhaps, to step forward, put away your burden of isolation and your eccentric ways of being, and just maybe feel a little more integrated. Maybe pick up the burden of society itself. So this is also the Decan, as we mentioned, the full moon Decan, where it's happening in Sagittarius. So this is all about those burdens that you are carrying. What are you carrying? What are you carrying for society? What are you carrying for other people? Take a look at that, Aquarius. Pisces risings. It's all happening in your 10th house of visibility. There is a big decision, big ugly decision to be made here in your 10th house about career, about the way that you're seen in the world, about your reputation perhaps. It's not a choice you've been wanting to make, but it's going to have to happen in some way or another. And it's time for you to take a look at that. Take a look at the pain and anxiety that has been causing you because you've been kind of avoiding it and not really like putting your full mental focus into this perhaps in the past, and now it's time to put it out there into the world, speak it into being, and let it hang in front of you so that you understand the decisions that you're going to have to make now at this moment in your life. And that's it. That's it, rising signs. That's it for this full moon in Sagittarius. It's been a long one. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on the Nora Madonna Show.